we need to talk about the backstory of Alex Mason. In my last video, I talked about the psychology of Alex Mason, and I already went into deep discussion of how Call of Duty used to make amazing story games. For example, World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2. We don't get that anymore. And what we also don't get is character insight, character growth, character backstories. We used to get backstories, for example, like Ghost, who is Simon Riley, and we found out about his sad, abusive childhood and how he got revenge on Roba and etc., etc. We even found out a little bit about Captain Price, how he used to be lieutenant and basically helped with Captain Macmillan in quote-unquote assassinating Imran Zakhaev, although it failed. What I'm trying to say is we don't really learn the characters' family life, we don't learn about their childhood, we don't learn about any of that anymore. Now you would think in Black Ops 1, of all things, like, oh, there's backstory there? We don't even know Frank Wood's backstory. We don't even know about his life. How are we gonna know about Alex Mason? Trust me, it is there. There is a secret Easter egg of emails that you can find in the game that discuss each of the characters and motivations, their personal thoughts, their psychology, their trauma, etc., etc. For example, there was a breakup note from Hudson's secret lover who broke up with him because he basically worked too much. She called him a workaholic and said, I can't be with you. Now for Alex Mason's backstory, we do find out that there are like secret notes and letters that actually came from his family. We find out that Alex has a mom, a dad, and two sisters. The two sisters' names are Marion and Dot. Marion actually has a husband already and two other kids, but they're not named. I'm going based off assumptions here, but we can assume Alex Mason had a nice childhood. The psychologist Adrian Smith wrote a case study on Alex Mason, diagnosing him with DID, dissociative identity disorder. Case study was a work in progress that was never completed, but she did do some research into Alex's childhood. We find out Alex Mason was born in Fairbanks, Alaska. His dad was actually in the army. He served in World War II and was basically in the Makin Atoll mission at World at War. Even though you don't see his name, it's kind of confirmed that he was there. We can gather from this that Mason was basically raised in an army family and was probably waiting on his dad to come home from the war. We do find out that Mason and his dad went hunting together, and we find out that Mason was actually one of the youngest winners of the Wimbledon Cup in 1953, and then not too long after that he would enroll into the army and become a Marine. What we can gather from this, Mason is from an army family. His dad is a World War II veteran. He probably had a role in World at War. Mason grew up in the cold. He can actually survive staying in the cold. He is one of the best sharpshooters and won awards for it. As for the rest of his family, oh my God, it is so sad. Mason's family basically finds out, we don't know how, but they find out that Mason was basically taken prisoner in Vorkuta. And eventually he does escape, but we don't know if he visited his family after the escape. In the 7 to 8 years that Black Ops 1 takes place, Alex Mason actually gets a handful of letters in the year 1966. It starts in February when Mason gets a letter from his dad, basically stating that his mom is sick and that he should come visit them so that he can be with his family in her time of need. During this time, you might remember, this is the time Alex Mason also fumbled a date that Gregory Weaver set him up with, and his date threatened to get a restraining order on him and called him an insane psychopath. So Alex Mason definitely got the letter. He did not reply to any of his family members over the span of the next 2 months these letters start coming in. He then gets a letter from his sister, Marion, who is basically stating, I know you got our dad's letter. It's very fucked up what you did. You should have come to support us. I understand that you're going through a lot right now, but mom needed us. Come to find out, yeah, Alex Mason did not respond to his family members. He didn't visit them. He didn't do anything. His sister in the letter basically states, Mom was looking for you. Marion basically states that Alex Mason's mom's last actions and last words were directed towards Mason himself. she was asking is, like, family was trying to reassure her that Alex Mason was coming. He was just going to be late and she needed to hold on. And she basically said, I know he's busy. He's busy being a hero. He's our hero, the hero of the family. And then she passed away. And it's so fucking sad. She basically passed away and hoped that Alex Mason was in her thoughts. And Marion states this, like, I hope she was, because you weren't there. She even states, like, look, I don't hate you, but family wants to see you. Your nieces and nephews, they want to see you. So if you can come back and be the hero that you are, that would be great. She states that. But then we find out later that Alex Mason's dad sent multiple letters. I'm talking over 10 letters he sent in hopes that Alex Mason would respond and come home. Mason ignored all these letters. Soon Mason ignored all these letters or just didn't respond. Maybe he was busy. Maybe the CIA held the letters from him. We don't know. See a set of 3 letters from Mason's dad, basically stating, you need to come home, your mom is sick. The second letter was stating, your mom passed away and the funeral's in 5 days. If you don't come back, you're dead to us. And in the final letter from Alex Mason's dad, he basically states, I gave you enough time. You should have fucking died in Vorkuta. Like, it hurts because you read these emails and then you realize Alex Mason is really depressed. He's depressed, he has suicidal ideation. He's literally going insane from talking to himself and just wanting to do his job. It makes sense because in the email he sent to his psychologist stating, please just up my doses, otherwise I'm just gonna off. He wasn't joking when he said he had no family left. He burned that bridge. This is wishful thinking, but I really hope in Black Ops 2, Alex Mason ended up making up with his dad and his sisters because he went back to live in Alaska with David. So, I don't know. Anyway, we don't get backstories like this in Call of Duty anymore. Why don't we get backstories like this? Instead, we get Call of Duty skins with 3 paragraphs of bio and call it a day. Anyway, I hope Black Ops 6 brings us back. I hope we get more insight and detail and character growth. Please, I'm begging you, Treyarch, please.